Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. I'm also a retired U.S. Army officer and CEO founder of Cavness HR. At Cavness HR, we provide HR to companies before and after people with the AI-powered platform by providing access to HR partner. We have a few things going on right now with Cavness HR. One is we recently released a series of 7 ebooks based on 300 conversations I had on the Jason Cavness Experience. And also, we have the Build Cavness HR Club through different levels. And the biggest thing, we're doing a refund on Cavness HR right now. For more information on these things, just go to the QR codes on the screen. Our guest today is the incredible Lee Kindell. Lee, thanks for being here today.
Oh my God, the honor is my bro. This is really cool.
Hey Lee, quick question. I always try to start the softball question. How do you take care of yourself? What do you do for hobbies, that kind of stuff?
Oh, wow. You know, this might be an odd answer, but I'm not wired right, Jason. Because, I'm all work, but my work kind of is my play. And so to answer that question, it's kind of like everything is blended in with what I do for work. So when, I try to keep my creative activities stimulating me, but they're always tied to work. So when I'm doing things out there, they're always somehow tied to Moto and what I do in kind of the end game where I want to end up being. But I do love martial arts. I've studied martial arts my whole life, and but since my injury, I haven't been able to participate. But that is one thing I love to do that I haven't been able to do lately.
So you hear people say work balance. Do you kind of cringe at that?
It's interesting. I think the people that say that are people that are in a kind of that mental place of I'm getting a paycheck. Mm-hmm. Because I believe when you do what you love, it is your life. So that is work-life balance because you're really enjoying it. So it's almost seamless between the two. And I really enjoy what I do. So to me, I feel very balanced. But many people would say I'm a workaholic, but I just love what I do. So when is it work?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah. So one thing I follow mine, this experience seems like making this up sort of kind of like, it's like 80% of the people out there like working 9 to 5, and the other 20% that's where go, right? Like most people get tired working 9 to 5. We probably 5 or 9 p.m. at night, right? Or go. But and people like us, we kind of we're not copycat, complaining. We're the opportunity's not there because we haven't got it yet. A lot of these people working 9 to 5 complaining. They're like, where's my opportunity at? Well, there's a trade-off, right? You got to stop watching Netflix, or you have to, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And, I think for me, when I was a kind of a paycheck 9 to 5 guy, my mindset was in that. But with the switch of my mindset, becoming an entrepreneur, the when you wake up to when you go down is mixed with both business and life, right? And you find balance in that, long 15, 16-hour grind, you can still find balance in that.
Does your brain ever turn off?
No. That is one of my, I guess it's a blessing and a curse, but I mean, even in the moment I lay down at the
Haley, sit up just a bit more.
Oh, even in the mornings in the evening when I lay down, it is, and I'm trying to close my eyes, my brain is still going 1,000 miles an hour. It's very hard for me to slow the thing down.
So how do you take breaks? Do you take 1 week off, 1 day off a week, or do you okay, from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday, I'm going to have a beer with so-and-so, or how do you do your breaks?
Yeah, that's more close to the latter, is I decide that, when I'm going to meet a friend or I'm going to hang out with family or my wife or any of that, I do it. It's not a scheduled thing. It's, that's one of the beautiful things about when I'm talking about the work-life balance. When it's time to spend with my family, I will do that with them, and when my mother calls me, I don't care if I'm in the room with the president, I take her call. That's where my priorities lie. My wife calls me if I'm in a big meeting, I will take her call. That's how important they are to me. So, I don't, my priority is my friends, my families, and my loved ones. So when something happens, they take priority, not my business or my job.
Yeah, that's great advice. So we met after you leave a Filipino founders group, right? Where you were a keynote speaker.
Yes.
Yeah. How long have you been involved with them? Or was that for your first time there too?
That was my first time. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. You give a great speech. You're so energetic, right? So my question is this, right? So a lot of friends like, gotta be outgoing, energetic, right? All that kind of stuff. Like you are. But like me, I like that. Like a lot of friends are like that, right? So what if I actually have like people like me like who can't turn it on all the time or like really be like outgoing and vibrant, right?
That is such a great question, and I love to answer it like this. I'm obnoxiously boisterous. Like I'm so loud, and I'm almost like a cartoon character. But that's my nature from growing up in a family of loud people, and we're really tight family. So the loudest person gets heard. But I like to say what really draws people in is not how loud you are, how authentic you are. So if you're a quiet person, or you don't say a lot, if there's authenticity in what you say, people will find resonance in that, and they will be drawn to you. You've got to be bold enough to say what you want to say as a shy or quiet person, but you don't have to be loud like me. There are many creators who are more on the quiet side that do really well with what they do because they're very authentic.
So you made a comment during pre-talk that you're a rookie on social media. Like, dude, not no freaking rookie on social media. Like, you're killing social media. So, I mean, tell us how you got involved in social media. Like, you're just a natural at it.
You know, it's fun for me because it falls more on my creative side and my expressive side. So it definitely is a little more natural. The problem is what I've learned is what's really important in social media is your consistency. And I haven't been consistent. So on my Instagram, I only have like 36,000 followers, and on my TikTok only 1,000. But it's because of inconsistency. And now that I've learned a little bit more about the platform and the power of social media, that's another thing I learned. It's really powerful. And so those platforms are something that I'm really starting to focus on. So now on my Instagram and my TikTok, my Instagram the last several months, I've posted every day. And now I'm trying to do it multiple times. And my TikTok, I'm just starting to post daily. So as I find more consistency, I think I'm going to see a lot more performance out of this social media.
Yeah, even though TikTok's been around a while and they're in the news, like getting banned all the time, I think people still like underestimate the power of TikTok, right? I've seen some people do some powerful stuff on like blow up virally and just like make business deals and everything.
Absolutely. And another one that I think people don't really register with is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is going to be really powerful too. I just started not too long ago, following Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
And a lot of people know, and I really hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I think those platforms are really powerful. And I think LinkedIn is kind of like untouched. That is, got a lot of potential.
So I've been following Gary Vee for a while. I remember one time he got like, he gets his critics. Somebody like, Gary, you say the same thing over and over again. What's the deal? He said, oh, well, this isn't for you. It's like for the person just seeing me for the first time, right?
Yeah, he's so wise with that. He works the social media well. And, repetition is pretty powerful too. When that consistency in your repetitive message, I think is really powerful.
I think that's a thing like a lot of founders, small business owners, mess up. They're like, man, I touched story 10,000 times, but you didn't tell it to this person.
Yeah.
And this might be the person who knows someone who can make shit happen for you.
Absolutely.
But we get tired of doing it over. Man, I got to say it again over and over. I got a picture like, man, like, can I just like press my phone and press record and play the phone? Yeah. So LinkedIn, like, man, I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, right? I think it's so good, but sometimes I did a post one time where I said, 100% sure when LinkedIn has a decision, okay, we have two things to do. We can make this the best user experience ever or make it trash. They pick to make it trash every time, right?
Yeah.
It's like the stuff they do, like Sales Navigator is trash. It's good to a point. You're like, yeah, it's just so frustrating.
As I explore it more, begin to learn, like, for example.
And I say this as I'm doing live on LinkedIn.
Yeah. It's live on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
The thing that I found about LinkedIn, I've been kind of experimenting. And I post some of my personal stuff on there too, just to kind of explore. And I'm seeing, I only get like 30 likes at a time or something like that. But it does, I do notice people like to connect with the person a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting because I thought it was all business.
Yeah.
But so as I explore that more, I think I'm going to lean a little more towards the personal side of business and see what that does. So I'm still playing around with it. But yeah, you're right. It could be ugly or it could be good. I guess it depends on the direction.
So here's a good one for you. So I post a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, HR content, podcast stuff, and I don't get much like engagement or not really much, right? Like I think I should have like 20,000 followers on there, but never really. So one time this person,
20,000.
yeah, I wish. And then so one time this person I don't know, she said connection, did a post, and it came on her feed, and she did on a plane ride in first class. She did a picture of some lady with their shoes off and their feet like up in the air on their feet. It's just like, how disgusting is right? People making comments. I mean, I remembered, hey, so I posted, hey, I actually have a friend who's a flight attendant, and she told me at least one time a flight, someone walks from their seat to the bathroom in their bare feet.
Oh my God.
Guess how many impressions I got? Like
No.
25,000.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
I was like, I freaking give up.
That's unbelievable.
But
see, that's the thing. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you just don't know.
So you hope they look at me, pull me up on LinkedIn, you know, but who knows, right? Just, yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know, it's and I think that kind of leads to like, what are you putting up? I think as an amateur, you know, if I was to tell somebody, what are you going to put up? I'm like, put up everything. Because you don't know. You don't know if you're going to get 25,000 freaking impressions from somebody walking barefoot into the bathroom. You know, that's crazy.
And so I was in Vietnam for 9 days last year, from November to February. And one time I was at this bar sitting down, and I put my phone, I did a video. So there's a scooter. It was a big white dog in front of the scooter and a guy and girl, right? You quick 5-minute video, like 150,000 views in one, right?
Unbelievable.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
You post like you know, you think it's like valuable content, like, yeah, fuck, screw that shit, you know.
You never know.
But you never know, right?
My most viewed Instagram was me opening the doors to my newest business, which was in Bellevue. That's our 4th or 5th store. And I just opened the doors, and that has 500,000 views.
Yeah, you never know, right?
I thought nothing about it. I just put everything up. Whatever I'm feeling, I just put it up, and you know, it's about numbers.
So one thing you do, I really like, and I try my best. Like you like your fun of just talking, right? I mean, I try my best to do it, you know. I get the self-doubt, you know. It's not that I don't want to see it, but just like, I don't know. I got to get more comfortable. I just pull the phone out, like, you know, hey, I'm walking around. I'm doing something, right? You're really good at that.
Yeah, thank you. It's really because I don't know any other way to produce, so I'm just holding it there. You know, now I've got a little stand that I work with, and, you know, I'm starting to pick up the little things, like a little bit of lighting. You know, as I start to understand more, I'm starting to give it a little bit more, but I think I get a lot of comments of the rawness and the authenticity of my thing, because I'm just doing me. Yeah. And so it's not super polished. And I've actually been warned some really successful, social media people, because I got to meet quite a few that have, you know, in the millions of followers, and they're like, Lee, just keep doing you. So, and I would advise that to anybody. Just you, don't try to do too polished. Because I think I'm seeing the marketplace getting tired of polished. Yeah. You know, and I think people are kind of drawn to more of that authenticity. And I think that's why TikTok's going to replace Instagram pretty soon, because Instagram's always polished, right? But TikTok's more like, you know, what's going on today, like the authentic, you know, in my opinion. I agree with you. And I also like the user interface on TikTok better. Oh, yeah. Right? And you get more time because, you know, what is it, 90 seconds I get on Instagram or something? Yeah. I have so much to say. Yeah. So to have to chop up what I do so much is so frustrating. And on TikTok, I can do a little bit long, so I learn TikTok better. I'm really starting to appreciate TikTok more. I hope it doesn't go away. I don't think it is. I mean, it hasn't gone away yet. And when it did go away, it went for like 5 hours, you know? Yeah. So change it up, bro. Yeah. Talk about the stuff you do. I think it's called Disaster Services Technology with the American Red Cross. Yeah. So I haven't done anything with them since I've opened the business, because I've been so busy, but I was a Red Cross volunteer, and disaster services is basically anything that could be like a community disaster, like an earthquake, which shuts the community down, or, if we had a tsunami and those kind of things. And what I did was, because I love technology so much, I was involved in the radio communications. So ham radio was what I was interested in playing with with emergency communications. And it was kind of my way of also preparing, you know, to be able to communicate with friends, family, and loved ones, you know, if there was a disaster that occurred. And so you're Filipino American. Were you born here or in the Philippines? I was born in the Philippines. Okay. My father was military. He was in the Navy, and that's where he met my mother. He traded her for 2 goats, and that was the dowry. And you know, and the thing is, he's probably joking. Yeah. Actually, my mother thinks that's the funniest joke. You know, I say that, you know, and she kind of just plays along and nods her head. But no, they met, and then I was born in the Philippines, and then they came back to the States, and then my brothers and sisters were born here in the States. Actually, my little brother was born in Guam. Okay, so I'm assuming that you know a lot about the history about the Philippines and U.S.
Can you give us a quick down and dirty? Like most people realize that Spanish American War, we fought in the Philippines against Spanish, and after that, we like find concepts in the Philippines. There's a big insurrection because I actually read a book in history class. I can't remember the name of insurrection. All the bad stuff that we did in the Philippines. Can you do a quick Dummies 101 version of that?
Hey, I'll tell you, I'm one of the dummies. So my Filipino history, I know that Lapu-Lapu was the most badass warrior on the planet. I know that Maria Osaro was the woman after World War II who invented banana ketchup for the Philippines because we couldn't get tomatoes at the time. And so she made banana ketchup, and now she's a national heroine. That's pretty much all my Philippine history.
Okay. No worries. Yeah. But people don't realize that the Philippines, everyone speaks English, like mainly English speaking, mainly Roman Catholic from the Spanish people they know. So very interesting history with the Philippines. I don't think most people know about.
And I think a lot of people don't realize too, the connectivity from Asia to the Philippines is huge. And so there's a lot of influence and mix there. And I think, that's why you see a lot of similarities between Asia and the Philippines and even, like down in Japan, like all of that, Micronesia, so many similarities and connections there. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the Asian cultures. There's a lot of shared history there.
And how you go back home?
I took my mother there just after COVID. And so we were there for 4 weeks. My mom was there for 2 months. So my brother took the first half and I took the second half, and then I flew back. But yeah, I love Philippines. I'd love to have a moto in the Philippines.
I'm sure that's your master plan.
Oh, it is.
Something you do that I think is pretty interesting. You actually review other pizza places on social media. Talk about how that came about.
Yeah, I'm very community oriented, and I love building community. And that's one of the, golden, most beautiful things about community is supporting each other, because all ships rise with the tide, so to speak, right? And when I was thinking about doing these reviews, and I was going to score and stuff like that, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like scoring, but I think there's a negative aspect to scoring, because somebody who loves Domino's, right, and I'm going to give it like a low score, what does that accomplish? So what I instead do, I go to all these different pizza places, and I just pull out all the positives that I love about that pizza, and then I shout them out, and I'm like, hey, this is a great spot. And then I say at the very end of all of my pizza reviews, I'm like, hey, get out there, support small business, and always be kind. And I think we just go out there and reviewing is showing that I'm supporting small business, and in a positive way. And of course, be kind is what I do. But I think that's a magical thing in the industry to do that, and I think there should be more of that.
So you haven't had a pizza yet where like, my God, this is criminal, they're serving this pizza.
There is a pizza that I have met that I did not like.
No.
I mean, from 7-Eleven and stuff. I eat all. I love pizza.
Were you eating any frozen pizzas out of the grocery store?
Oh, it's funny you asked that. There's actually some reviews that I've done on my Instagram. Because I've only done a few of them, but I'm going to start doing more. But yeah, I've actually done reviews of frozen pizza. I love doing them. But my last one, I said, you know what? It's midnight. It's after midnight. I'm hungry. Let's do a pizza review.
So what's the craziest topping you've seen on a pizza?
I don't think there are any crazy toppings. Yeah, I mean, I do some pretty crazy stuff in comparison to the rest of the industry. But there is a guy. What is his name? Can't recall. But I think he's on TikTok, and he does the strangest things to put on pizza or whatever. And he does like different fruits and really weird meats and like all kinds of weird combinations. Love what he does. But yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy enough to go on there, because it's the best palette or canvas for food, really, because you can do anything.
It makes you like laugh when people have this pineapple fight, right? Yeah. No pineapple. Like, I think it doesn't matter. No. The only one I hate anchovies on my pizza. Most people love anchovies on pizza. I don't care for it.
Yeah, I totally get that. And anchovies is not as popular as people think that it is. Essentially, it's a raw fish in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And my wife is a freak about anchovies. She loves anchovies on everything. Yeah. She's Italian. But I don't think there's a bad ingredient on pizza at all.
No.
I had the Pizza Bib guys came by. They're from Australia, and they brought by what is it called? The salty Australian peanut butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe I can't think of it. Anyways, yeah, I did that with a I think it was the alligator meat. Yeah.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, alligator meat and Australian. What the heck is it? Marmite.
Okay.
Yeah, and put that together on a pizza. It was actually pretty good.
Talk about this. Like, I think a lot of people they're creative but not business operational. and vice versa. It's like you have a creative side, you also have a business operation. How are you able to combine both worlds when most people can't?
Yeah. I had to learn that skill. So I've always been very creative, but I had to learn kind of analytics and the logistics of business. And, one of my mentors in my very first business always said to me, "Hey, Lee, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business." And that was really shocking to me and almost like I was embarrassed by that. So I try to be really good about knowing my numbers. I also have people that work with me, like my CEO and my COO. They are such numbers oriented people and systems oriented people. So I brought people on that are better than me to help run the business, which I think was brilliant in itself because they know so much and have experience that I don't have experience in. So we find a lot of balance and I have a lot of experience, just life experience, um, and and the experience of relationships. So in that, I've learned how to combine the creative and the analytical, logistical part of business and bring them together in a really balanced way.
So you brought up a point that you think about, right? I mean, because you have to track a lot. So you have to track prices of like every single ingredient, the dough, the food. Like, you have to track all the stuff, right? If like there's a tariff somewhere and the green peppers rises up, the prices increase or decrease. Like, how do you like track all that stuff?
So he, who's my CEO, Gerard, he comes from funds, and fintech, financial industry. And him and one of the guys that he worked with, they built a model for our next 250 stores. And it's an Excel model. It has over 1,000 inputs on it. Like if the price of cheese changes by 30 cents, it affects the entire trajectory of 250 stores on the timeline. So yeah, we've really got the numbers down to a very tight kind of observational operating. I don't know what the word is I want to use, but yeah, we really got it down.
So like when you do a pizza, like you have different kinds of pizza. Like talk process of deciding what was in a pizza. Like this kind of meat, this kind of cheese, this vegetable. Like, I'm sure that's some kind of creative process you go through to decide a pizza recipe.
It's not as easy as that because you have to also, look at what the market prices are and then the system and how you make pizza. So for example, we're just starting to come out with our new excuse me, our new meatball pizza, which is a seasonal pizza. So I'm going to have a summer pizza, a fall pizza, a winter pizza, and a spring pizza. So those are going to be my specials coming out. And so preparing for a fall pizza, and that's going to be fall pizza. So that has to fit in within the parameters of the system that we build pizzas in already, right? So we have a really tight prep fridge, for example, right? And all of our ingredients fit in there. We cross-utilize some of those ingredients. So how do we bring in this meatball pizza to blend into this system seamlessly? And so we have to take in a lot of factors and account into how we build this pizza with how we build our regular menu pizza.
So suppose you do a new pizza, right? Like how long does it take for you to decide, okay, like this pizza's getting 10,000 orders a day as a hit versus, man, it's been 20 days and we've only had 5 of these pizzas, right? Like how we decided to take it off the menu?
We actually have the same menu as when we opened.
It's the same one?
Yeah. Oh, no, I take that back. I had a, what was it called? It was the chopped cheese that I was inspired by the chopped cheese sandwich in New York. And I made a chopped cheese pizza. And it wasn't that it wasn't selling well. It was selling, but it wasn't enough to have it in my system because every ingredient out there was completely different than what I used on my pizzas. So it was almost like an outlier for my pizzas. And so I didn't get rid of it because it was performing badly. I got rid of it because it wasn't performing in the system.
Okay.
And so any pizza that I bring in has to fit into this system, and I only have 12 pies, and part of those are vegetarian versions or vegan versions of the pie that I have. So that's why it fits into the system, right? Because I have similar things. So yeah, I have trouble adding pizzas, and that's why I'm going to do a quarterly seasonal pizza. That way it fits into the system, and it's for 3 to 4 months.
So the talk I saw you give a Filipino frown group in Bellevue maybe a month or 2 months ago. My sense of time is backed up always. Yeah. Yeah. So you talked about the craft of making pizza versus the automation of pizza. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, there's when I talk about the craft of pizza, it's the intention of which you make a pizza, right? And then there is the technical aspect of pizza. And when I talk about the technical aspect of pizza, it's that you use 6 grams of this, 100 grams of that, 300 grams of that. The nature of the creative aspect of the pizza is that how how's this kimchi going to taste with this picked cabbage, going to taste with this adobo, this beef adobo? So that's the creative aspect. The technical aspect is how much this system, how long does it take to make, how do I make it, and what equipment do I use to make it? I combine these with the idea of creating a pizza that is both creative but can also be scaled.
And so I remember correctly, like you said one time that you would never use a machine to make pizza. You want craft of it, but then you got injured, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that story?
Yeah, so I actually, because of the constant making of literally hundreds of pounds of dough, I have a little twist when I grab my dough and I move it and I knead it. And the elbow motion that is so repetitive. And it just popped one day and I couldn't do the same motion. And I was kind of panicked. I was trying to do it with my left hand. It was working. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to get a mixer. And I go out and I get a mixer. I bought a used one from a pizza in Olympia. Gosh, I can't remember what the name of the pizza joint was, but they did it for like 30 years. They've been there all time. Shout out to them. I'm sorry if I can't remember your name, but he actually got spinal meningitis and couldn't make dough anymore. So they got a mixer. Kind of the same thing, except for his is way worse. But I was like, how do you feel after, 15 years of making it by hand and then you guys get a mixer? And he goes, I wish I got a mixer 15 years earlier. So when I got the mixer, I realized the delta in between making it by hand and making it by mixer was so insignificant that the guests were, my customers didn't notice it. And I was like, that's when the light bulb went off and I was like, I can scale this. And then I went nuts. I'm like, now I'm bringing in robots and drones and all kinds of craziness.
So talk about going from a mixer to full-blown robots and drone deliveries. That's a pretty big leap.
It's a huge leap, but also it's not. It's actually a very simple leap. And I'll begin with that. So the idea of creating something, right? You can use all these tools or you can just use your hands. Going from your hand to a hammer or a spoon is a very simple tool. And going to a robot is no different, in my opinion, than going to a spoon or a hammer. Meaning that the intention of the craft that you are creating is what's important. It's the end result of the product that you make, that you are giving to somebody, that is the expression of who you are. So to me, it's not a far jump to utilize robots. To me, it's just how do I make it more efficient? How do I scale it? How do I get more pizza to the people is what I like to say. And robotics is going to play a big part in that, especially today when we're looking at this crazy labor shortage that we have now, and people want to do things differently. I think that robotics is going to take a really part in that.
So when people say, Lee, you screw over people, you steal from people, that kind of stuff, to answer that.
That's an easy one. When we switched to the car from the buggy, they're worried about all the horse guys going to be out of job. I don't mean to dismiss that question, but I think it's a very easy answer. Is that there are going to be different jobs. There are going to be jobs in AI that we don't even know about yet. There's going to be jobs in supporting the robotics industry. I have yet to fire anybody since I brought on the robotics. I shipped them in different places, and what I see is we can focus more on the positive interaction between our crew and the customers than production. So I think that's a really important part right there, that we can make the experience of our guests have more depth to it, than us being focused on the production side.
Say robots, you're talking about actual humanoid robots back there looking like humans doing stuff for.
I totally see that. You see what's coming down the road when it comes to the human-shaped robotics, what they're capable of doing. I was watching Amazon, the robot that is taking objects and placing them in gels, and it's literally picking stuff out and putting it in the order that it's supposed to be in. And I'm like, I don't think people realize how far robotics is right now.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
People have no idea.
Yeah, you're very into tech and you see it coming. But when I went to CES, that's when my eyes really opened to how big this is and how fast it's going to hit us.
So I think this thing, one thing we have to figure out, somehow as a society, I think a lot of robots are going to take jobs we don't need to do. I don't know, cleaning toilets, picking crops, all these menial labor jobs. But those jobs are done by someone, and those jobs give people meaning and a reason to live, right? So what we do these people, right? You just can't say, hey, go watch TV 9 to 5, right? Because he don't feel like that. I don't know if we figured that out yet.
No. What I believe is there's going to be jobs that we don't know that don't exist right now, right? And I think there's going to be a lot of that will support the robotics industry. And, I think we're going to be able to recycle a lot more materials and create more things that through this robotic technology that is going to create new industries, right? So I don't see a problem. I'm all on board.
Yeah.
Maybe too much, but I love it and I love where we're going. I love sci-fi. I don't have this Terminator mindset is going to happen. I'm not super concerned about that.
Yeah. There are a couple people care about this is the bad thing to happen, but I think everything tech has done has made it more like better. Right? When people like you said the car thing, like people complain, oh man, we're going to use job saddles. People forget, like in New York City, there were like literally tons of horse shit on the street, right?
Yeah.
That's somebody had to shovel up, right? That's gone.
New York stunk now, but think about that with all of that waste and a horse and human, the whole thing. Yeah, we've evolved, and I think that's something I want to. It's a little more philosophical, but I want to mention that. I think the human being, the human collective, everything to me in the universe has to evolve, and it typically evolves to something more efficient and more positive. I think the idea of harmony and love is one of the most efficient ways for human beings to operate, and I think the evolution of humans is go that direction. And as we bring on robotics, I don't see this Terminator thing. I think as this evolving into a higher place, because we don't have to worry about where our next paycheck coming. We can things can be done to where we can focus more on creativity and the expression of the human experience. And so I really believe that we're in for a much more positive experience with technology.
Talk about your motto, be kind.
Yeah. Growing up was difficult for me because I moved a lot and it was hard to make friends. And, life was really uncertain. And now as I build relationships now in my older years, I find that to build community, to bring people together, like kindness is the glue that brings us together and keeps us together. We're thoughtful about the decisions that we make affect other people. And, I've made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. I was a stupid kid. I like sharing that idea of be kind to each other and also be kind to yourself. We're so hard on ourselves and so much pressure in society. And we give ourselves so much shit, because we're not measuring up to what we think we are. And we're wonderful just the way we are. So we need to be more kind to ourselves. And when you start being kind to yourself, have compassion for yourself, you begin to have compassion for others. And I think that's a really important part of us growing as individuals.
I struggle with that, right? But I read one time like, when you're talking about yourself, just think a moment. What would you do if you talked like to someone else? You're like, I'll never talk like that to someone else, right? We talk to yourself about that all the time.
100%. 100%. I have a lot of young people under me. I'm getting close to 100 employees right now. And then when I owned hostels, for 15 plus years, I had literally hundreds of young people come through. And that's one of the biggest conversations I've had with young people is that the way that they talk to themselves and the way they treat themselves and how hard they are on each other, on themselves because of those societal pressures and all of these, this polished stuff they see on TV and on the internet. The bar set so high, and it's like it's not that high. It's not that bad. Just be kind to yourself and have grace. Give yourself some grace. And so this conversation I had a lot, and with so many young people, and I think it's lost in both education and in society. This conversation. That's my jam, man. I want to bring it back. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others.
So the post on LinkedIn a while ago, where you're like in the middle of nature, and basically the post was like, yourself in different perspectives.
Oh, yeah. I love that one. I think we get caught up in our shit, and we get so tightly wound into it that we sometimes when you just step off of that stage for a second, put yourself in the trees or on the beach or in Mother Nature, where you're outside of walls, be with yourself. Like that perspective is really powerful. I meditate a lot. I try to spend, even when I'm going 1,000 miles an hour in a day, I'll pull over down Alki, go on the beach, or when I'm racing out to Emmons, I'll pull over on the side of the road and, go out of the water and just sit there for 5 minutes and just get that new perspective. It is such a powerful tool for me. I have a lot of stress on me with, we're going to have 11 locations by the end of this year. People are like, how do you do it? And I think it comes with that, having grace on yourself, what I said earlier, and be kind to yourself. Like, I'll stop, take a minute for myself and just breathe the air in and take a moment and be grateful. You know, wow, I get to do this. Wow, I am so freaking lucky that I have all these people that help me build this business. And I'm nothing going wrong right now. What is happening here? You know, having that gratefulness creates an energy, I think, of momentum that helps me just crash through all this stuff.
I pulled this from you somewhere. I don't remember, but it's a kindness, creative, community, and collaboration. Kindness, creative, community, collaboration.
Yeah, that's definitely my MO. You know, I think when you are open to other people's opinion, you know, giving them a little space and kind of space, even if it may be completely different than yours, you'll find common ground and you'll be able to have these collaborations that you can do some amazing, amazing stuff. As I learn, it's a practice that I have to do. Like when I have a conversation, the first thing I have to do, I have to focus on myself, which is my own kind of journey because I talk so much, is to listen, right? So I'll whisper to my own in my head, I'll be like, please shut up, let them say something, and I'll hear what they have to say, and I'll be very dialed into it, even if I'm not 100% on board with where it's coming from, because there's always something to pick up and learn from that, right? And that's where I think I've become a master building relationships, is understanding that their perspective, just because it's not mine, isn't wrong. Like I can bring something out of that will help benefit me and help benefit the relationship that I'm building. So I try to be very open to that.
What's a skill you don't have yet that what you want to learn?
Wow, that's a great question. I kind of think I would like to learn. I'm very creative and artistic, but I don't have an artistic hand,
Yeah.
right? Some people say I do, but when I look at what other people are doing, you know, so I would love to be able to take what's in my head, be able to put it like on an iPad. So, you know, to be able to use, because I have some crazy freaking ideas and it's really hard to express when I do it. Like my logos, for example, I have to kind of collaborate with an artist because I can't lay it out like that logo you're wearing on your shirt, which is so badass, by the way. Shout out to Joey Nix, one of our first artists. But yeah, I have to collaborate and say, oh, here's what I'm imagining: a flower with MOTO as the center, the seeds of the flower, and then the characters, the petals of the flower. And so that's my idea of my logo. The logo is going to constantly change. So the flower petals are going to be done by different artists through the years. Like right now, I'm working with some artists out of, they're called Arsk, out of Georgia, the country of Georgia. And so I'm working with global artists now in building that. So I have to take what's in my head and try to express to them what I'm looking at versus me being able to create it myself. That's where the collaboration part comes in. But yeah, to answer your question, I would love to be able to take what is in my head and put it through my arm and be able to draw it.
So from my point of view, you seem like you're working at the intersection of food tech, AI, robotics, three triangle phrase. Like, do all these things work continuously at the same time, or sometimes you focus on the food tech, on the robotics, or like pretty much all equal together?
In my mind, they're all equal together. But, you know, this is such a fragmented industry right now, meaning that, you know, your AI is really difficult to connect with your hardware. You know, like they're still fragmented. You know, there's not operational capacity. The user interfaces are still off. Like we're in the infancy of all this, right? So I do have challenges when, you know, I'm trying to get this robot to pump out 3,000 pizzas in one day, you know, and then communicate through the iPad with the AI connected to the robot. Like there's all kinds of things that go wrong. And then the hardware itself, you know, I had an arm that pumps out cheese. You know, I've gone through 300,000 pounds of cheese this year. No, almost 400,000 pounds of cheese this year so far. And so the arm of the robot is starting to bend down during this event. And I'm like, I used a string to tie it up and hold it up while we were pumping through. So like the technology isn't there yet, but I try to pull it together now. And yeah, it's still a challenge, but we're quickly getting there.
So talk about sustainment real fast, right? Like how do you decide like where to source your ingredients from? Like local farmer, big corporations? Like I'm sure economics played it in like in the same company, but how do you decide how to sustain your ingredients? Or
yeah, so when I first started MOTO Pizza in this little 500 square foot house in West Seattle, I imagined myself as, you know, one of the great pizza makers, like, you know, Frank Pepe Grana in Italy or Don DeMarco in Brooklyn, New York. You know, these guys who have one shot and they've done it daily for years. That's how I saw myself at the beginning. And so, like, I'm a beekeeper. I keep bees in the back of West Seattle, and I use that honey for my pizza. That's how hardcore I was. But as I began to scale, I realized I can't do that anymore. So I had to bring in local honey. And then as I got bigger into California, I had to bring in production honey. And then as I started to learn technology, I partnered with these guys who take all the ingredients of that the bee uses to make honey, the path of the bee, and biomimics what the bee makes to create honey that is real honey, but it's not made by a bee. So I utilize that technology to create something that is just as high caliber as real honey, but it's made through technology. So there's been a huge evolution from this idea of the craft and ingredients and those things into what I'm making now.
So your plans have like drones deliver pizza, right?
Yeah.
I remember like it might be like 2 years ago, everyone said, "Oh, Amazon's going to deliver packages of drones, right?" But it really hasn't happened yet, right? Why do you think there's been like this last been technology of drone delivery?
Well, what I think, this is my opinion, and frankly, I don't shit, but from what I've seen is it's just been more of the regulatory governance that are keeping this stuff slow. So Amazon is going to start delivering. Walmart is going to already delivering in Midwest drone delivery. So it's beginning to happen. We've been approved by the FAA with partnership with Zipline to begin drone delivery in here on the east side, but it's been a slow roll because there's so many safety factors in these dense populations. Like here in Seattle, for example, we have the private airlines out of Lake Union. We have all the medical helicopters flying into First Hill. And then, of course, we have Boeing Airfield. And we have SeaTac's approach comes right over Seattle. So there's a lot going on, right? And so there's a lot of regulatory things that slow these things down. But I definitely see, paths being made to make it a little bit easier for technology because they see the answers to a lot of things, problems. So I think the governments, both city and federally, are starting to make way for it. So I think we're going to start seeing really quick things happening.
But what does it cost to have a sustainable business, right? Because it is a cost to it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of a relative question, so there's a cost to my robot that, I have to balance that out with, when I first got it, it was really expensive because I had to throw a lot of labor at what I was doing because we were just learning the robot. But then the robot eventually replaced, almost a dozen people in my stadiums doing 3,000 pizzas. I can have 1 or 2 people on robot versus 12 people top pizzas. So there's an initial cost, and of course, I think the price of technology is coming down, right? So it's going to be easier. It's just difficult when you're kind of the trailblazer, so to speak, right? The outlier trying these different things. So, but I love the challenge, so I'm really into it. And I like to say I operate analog, but I also operate technology facing forward. And so if something happens with technology, my system's so strong, I can operate analog if something goes down. So while I operate analog, I can run parallel with technology. And if something goes down, I flip back over to analog.
So people used to always say fast food is fast and cheap. It's no longer cheap.
No.
When did fast food stop being cheap and why?
Well, boy, that's a complex question you're asking there, brother. I think it has a lot to do with industry and greed and money making, and the scarcity of sources, as they say. But I think people are coming back to like whole food, like we're seeing a lot more like victory gardens, like we saw after World War II. People are starting to be really into farmer markets running strong. Farmers being paid well through the farmers markets, right? The guy that I get my flour from, Kevin, with Karen Springs, he's taking ancient grains from Europe and teaching the indigenous of Northwest how to grow grain, and with no chemicals or the grow things they use for growth. He's buying it back from them at higher than market prices to lock them in with him. Like those are the things that are happening to where those everybody wins, and that's the direction that we need to go. Right now, I think profitability is where it's killing us all. So that's my answer to that. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
Is there a certain food culture that has influenced you most?
Yeah, you know what? I would say yes. And I think when you say food culture, I want to say kind of like the underground, the guys who are doing things on a really small scale, that are, going viral with what they're doing, it's kind of changing the game a little bit. Like I saw at first, these guys are up, during COVID, a lot of things were happening that were super influential in food. And um, the pizza makers, especially, right? A lot of them started doing it other windows, so to speak, and did some really new, crazy stuff with dough and flour and really being experimental. So I would say the grassroots small producer who is super experimental has had the most influence on food right now. There's I'm going to Japan in October, and there's some really cool um, food things going on there that are kind of mind blowing. Like fermentation is something that's really interesting to me, and there are people that are experimenting in fermentation on a small scale that is mind boggling on food. So yeah, I definitely love what the smaller people are doing and experimenting with on a grassroots level.
So, what year did you start this company?
4 years ago.
And you gone from one store to how many stores?
We'll have 11. We'll have 11 by the end of the year.
Just talk about the process of deciding to know when to scale, when to slow down, all that kind of stuff. It seemed like you just like go, go, go. So maybe I slowing down.
Yeah, there's been no slam, but my team's been like, hey, we need to slow down. So we've kind of slowed down. We're just focusing on what we're doing right now because our systems aren't 100% dialed in. So before we really go crazy, we're really just fine tuning everything that we do. From our training, like for example, with our training on pizzas, we now have these beautiful catalogs on exactly how much goes on what pizza, how we weigh it, and like just super fine details on how we do everything. And yeah, and once we dial that in, which is probably like the end of the year, we're really gonna kick on gas.
So you talk about this some already. Talk more about the art versus the science of making pizza.
Yeah, so I have an acronym that I use called FAT, and it's fragrance, it's flavor, appearance, taste, texture, and temperature. And I use all of these to kind of layer in what I do. A lot of junk food, they actually use fat, acid, and sweet to create the effect of almost like junk food addiction. That's why potato chips are so salty, right? And you got a lot of fat in it. They fry it with, right? Those things are the things that really draw us as human beings to eat. I want to do that in a positive way, using, like fermented kimchi and, pickled cabbage, those kind of things on pizza, which is a fast food, not the greatest, the healthiest of food. And experimenting that way, that's how I can be creative, but also have a positive effect on the food.
And how do you go about picking out new locations?
It's more opportunistic than anything right now. We're have a partnership with the stadium, so we're kind of looking at an LOI for a MOTO stadium deal that's coming up. That's probably going to be in between 10 and 20 stadiums. The partnership has been really good, and we're just getting ready to open 4 locations in San Diego, and so we're going to kind of work our way from Seattle going down and San Diego coming up and meet in the middle. So we're already looking at locations in between that, like for example, LA, San Francisco, Portland, as we build.
So what makes a good opportunity is like neighborhood traffic, the amount of revenue in the neighborhood, like what goes into that?
Yeah, we don't know that yet. So we're still experimenting. So we're in suburban areas, right? We're in the stadium. We're in downtown. We're still playing with that. We call it what is MOTO in a box, and where do we see the best performances? We're seeing a little bit of goodness out of everything, which is really good. But yeah, we haven't defined that yet. We're still in that, and we're becoming data freaks. We love data, so we're trying to capture as much data as we can through our POS system, and now we're starting to do like very specific area targeted marketing, and we're watching to see how that what the response on that. So really we're in gathering phase right now.
So when you source ingredients for the pizza, what are the ingredients like? Do you get more closest to the store, price, economics, or like combination?
It was a combination of things, but now I have to think more on a national level, which is a little more challenging for me because I love I love sourcing local. I used to have Matt, who was Wild Forager. I think that's his tag. But to get a lot of stuff from him, and he literally foraged all the things. I can't do that because he can't do that on a scale, right? Mm-hmm. So now I have to start thinking about a little bit more bigger producers, how to that quality. So it's a balance. And when you scale, I don't care what anybody says, there is a certain amount that you have to kind of give up, right? Like I can't have Matt forage for mushrooms anymore because I can't do that on thousands and thousands of pounds of mushrooms. There's capability there. So those are conscious things that I have to give up in scale. So you weigh what is the mission that you want to accomplish versus what you know want to do with your pizza. And the compromise is really difficult pill for me to swallow. But I'm learning how to keep a really good product with the intention of you eating a good product, even if I'm making thousands of them.
What defines success for yourself?
I think success really comes equals happiness, you know? So it doesn't have to be a monetary amount. It doesn't have to be, you know, having a kingdom. I think it's just finding happiness, whether you have choose a simple life or you choose a mad, crazy life like mine. I think where you find happiness, I think that's the success.
You have any advice for founders who are outside of food?
Oh yeah, jump, jump, build it on the way going down. You know, it just go for it. Like you know, fear holds. So I talk with so many entrepreneurs. I have people write me. So there's a video out right now that I was interviewed back at the beginning, and it had like 3 million views on it, and it's gone kind of global. I have people who are entrepreneurs that want to be write me all the time. And they're like, hey, how do I do this? What do I do? And I say, this is what I tell them. Actually, I tell everybody this. Start as small as you can, but just freaking start.
Yeah, great advice. It's never the perfect time.
It's never the perfect time. You know, I started mine in the middle of COVID. My dad thought I was crazy doing it in West Seattle where the bridge was broken. Mm-hmm. You know, he's nobody's going to come to you and anything like that. But you just got to jump in for it. And the other thing is, you know, build it, make it exist, and then make better. It's not going to be perfect.
No.
You know, so yeah.
What's something that when you first started, that kind of hit your butt, like when you really strove, but now today, like, man, what's wrong with me? That's that's probably the thing I could have done back then.
That is a really good question. Like, I can easily answer that. I thought your personal labor equals your success. And it's not that smart, not hard. I mean, you're going to work hard. When you think smarter, like utilize your resources better, understand what you're doing as best as you can, and try to mitigate as many mistakes as you can. So, and fail early. Like, don't be afraid to fail, because if you fail early in the game, it's only going to cost you a couple grand. If you fail late in the game, it could cost you millions. You know, so for example, we had the 3-month wait. So I would do a drop. I would make $60,000 in 3 minutes. Like everybody would order. It was insane. One day, I accidentally erased every order when I was messing with our PO system. So I had to go online and I'm like, hey guys, it's still on there on my Instagram. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I screwed up. I erased everybody's order. Like it was such a big mistake. I guarantee you, I never made that mistake again. You know, we're doing millions a year now. Can you imagine if I erased everybody's order? We're doing millions. Yeah, that will never happen again.
So I think like in the there's a stereotype when someone starts a business in their 20s, young stuff. But in reality, most people are like our ages, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you became your stereotype?
Yeah, it was. I think it just knowledge and experience equals wisdom, right? And so when that comes together, you just become lighter. You know, you gotta get your ass kicked. You gotta make mistakes, and you learn, and that becomes wisdom. And so it took me a long time to break the stereotypes and, understand. And that comes from wisdom.
So, you're pretty outgoing, pretty sociable. How do you, I'm going to order this word right. How do you handle people that kind of bummed out all the time, kind of depressed? Like you try to cheer them up, or just how the person is, how you deal with that?
It's not my job to cheer them up. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's not your job to inspire somebody to be better. It's their job to do that, right? So when somebody's bummed out, I try to be kind. I try to understand where they're coming from. I try to, lift them up through what I'm doing, through example and experience. You're not going to change a depressed person from being depressed unless they decide to be inspired and get out of that depression, right? So what can you do to help them? I think listening is really important. And, I've dealt with that on many, many times. And, I just try to be there to support. I don't try to change them because you can't.
How do you handle professional development for your employees?
We're at a place where we're beginning to be able to do some really cool things. Like, for example, I have a few employees that are really interested in going further in their culinary field. and want some education, but that's really costly, and you got to take time off. So Dexo Live is one of the big companies that I work for in this work with the stadiums. They have programs that I actually got some of the first three of our employees into, where it's an online culinary program, and then when they're successful in that, they get flown out to Paris to go through this culinary school. And so those are the kind of things that I like to do. I like to really bring people up from the inside. So, for example, Logan, who came in with us, who's doing pizza, is now the general manager of a store as a member pizza maker, and now he's stepping up and taking over kind of corporate catering events. And we're moving him up, and we like to connect people to experience our corporate people who have a lot of experience in business, and to teach them and take them under their wing. So I really believe in investing in our employees and bringing them up. And so we're working on a lot of things like the training processes, how can we expand the education part aspect to it and grow. And one of the things I always ask my employees, everybody, what's your game? What's your dream? Where do you want to go? Like, where does our alignment begin and end? If you want to go out there and be, a politician or a rock star, how do we align with you to make it better on your journey to get there? Or if you want to be in culinary, how do we align with you? What direction do you want to go on that? So we have those conversations all the time. I love knowing what our staff, where they want to go and what they want to be, what they want to do.
Do you consider yourself a tech founder?
You know what? I'm beginning to. As I fall in love with technology, I've been invited to speak both in Japan. I've been invited to speak at CES. Mike Wolf from The Spoon, he's been amazing and supporting me in that. And, I've been invited to talk on a few of his things that he does. And I'm definitely starting to see myself as a tech founder.
And when do you think you made that transition in your mind?
I think when I started really believing that robots are the future and technology is the future for us. Like, it's an answer like food production problems. I don't know if you've seen, like, in farming, technology is having a huge impact on farming right now. So, that's when I really got bought in, all in.
And when people say, people will say, like, you're selling out the food industry, you make automation, you're supposed to, like, do the old-fashioned way.
I actually think with technology, we can actually have better products. Technology is understanding what our soil is right now, the composition of our soil, and understanding our soil to where we can produce better foods, and that's through technology. Yes, there are old school ways of understanding your soil and how to grow, but there's new stuff coming out that is taking that old knowledge and advancing it even more. So I'm all in again on technology and where we can go with it.
What excites you about tech in the future?
Ooh, brother, man, I think I'll sum it up this way. I think with technology, the human race is going to express themselves in the fullest way possible.
And then what scares you about technology?
I'm not scared of technology right now. I don't buy into like I said earlier, I don't buy into the.
So you don't care. You don't believe in Skynet, all kind of stuff.
No. I'm like, hey, give me a bionic arm. Replace my eye. Give me a little extra knowledge to add it to my brain computation. Like, yeah, I'm all in right now.
So this is kind of my nightmare. It's kind of fun, right? I can imagine, like, in the future, right? We all have robots in our house cooking dinner. Yeah. I go home one night. Hey, John bought a robot. I feel like a chicken fried steak, potatoes, and a slice of cake. Jason, your health monitor says everything's off the limits. You have a salad today.
Yeah. Could be, but is that better for you?
It is, but it's not what you want at the time. Right. Yeah. What's better for you is not what you want sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how much do you know about tech? Do you know that the intricate details of how the robots work that works for you? Or
no, I'm learning on a very fundamental level, and I'm just beginning to understand large language models, and how I'm hanging around with a lot of tech founders, and so I'm understanding the basic lingo. I know what they're trying to build, and I understand what they're trying to build, but the technical aspects of it, I am not super familiar with. But what I've learned is I can get them to make me understand it by asking the right questions.
Exactly. So in the future, this is a bad example, but you see like being like maybe like a Papa John's pizza with a pizza on the corner in the world like that.
I could see Moto on a global
Mm-hmm.
scale, but I also want to be an example. You know, I want to be an example of how can you do that with integrity, you know, with a quality product, um, you know, to the best of your ability, and also how do you inspire through that too? You know, how do you set example as, you know, how do you set example as a corporation, you know, in a positive way? Because there's not enough companies that are doing that, right?
No,
And I want to be one of those ones that set that
There's too many in-runs out there, right?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it. So how do we make change? You become the change.
Yeah, that's great advice. So you were gracious enough to be one of my judges at my HR sales got tech event. So I want to talk about your experience there.
Wow. You know, the thing that I think really impressed me the most is how many young people are just going for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got big ideas, and given the right platform like what you did, I think it's really amazing for them to get their ideas out there and connect with people that help them make that dream come true. You know, I love that you bring in venture capital and then these startups, and they get to, you know, bump into each other and get to know each other. I think that's great. And it's such a grassroots thing. So I was really impressed by the community that you're building, and that these young people are doing some super impactful things. You know, I went there thinking, yeah, this is going to be small, and like, you know, they're going to come, you know, somebody's, developing something that you could take a lid off of something, right? But I mean, this is game changing stuff these young people are coming with. I was blown away.
Yeah.
Really blown away. You know, the medical stuff was wow.
Yeah.
Game changing.
Yeah, we had 60 startups. I actually had like 55 applications, so it was really hard to pick through the 60 out of 55. Yeah.
Oh, it really was.
Yeah.
You know, the one I liked the most didn't win, but it was so close.
Which one was?
The kids who were with the wearable, the phone with the paper thing to check temperature.
The Waverly Diagnostics.
Yeah, because what I see is, you know, mobile technology is the future. Right? I don't think we're going to have phones anymore. I think it's going to be wearable on it somehow. But the medical stuff applied to that, I think that's where it's going to be really big.
So how do you use like your background as a tech food entrepreneur and just like going to all these startups and interacting with them and deciding what to vote for?
Let me see if I understood your question. Like, how did I understand it, and then how did I choose?
Yeah, using your background as a tech food entrepreneur.
Yeah, I would say like I was looking at what is going to be the most powerful, impactful invention that would help the most amount of people, right? And, you know, I love the medical technology, which narrowed it down. And then I loved the one where they were like really focusing on phone and wearables. And because I see that as a really big future. I mean, it already is. Look how many people use health apps on their phone, right? And then how do you measure that through the human body? And that interface is what was really interesting to me, is how they use the, frequency for the interface. And I know sound technology is really beginning to grow, and the frequencies and the experimentation that's going there. So that's why I really lean on those guys. I really like what they were doing.
Yeah, because like a lot of times, like stuff like this, the person is everyone, these metrics are done. I purposely said, y'all decide on your own, right? I didn't want to anything like, left or right. And say, y'all decide on your own, because each person have a different metric to judge on.
Yeah, that was really good, because when I was with the other judges, I was seeing what their metrics and it was completely different than mine, right? So, yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed myself.
So how was the judging, like, pretty easy once y'all got together? Or okay?
It was very easy. We all kind of, I think everybody was, to a certain extent, an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So they came at it from an entrepreneurial mindset where we had something in common. And so we spoke the same language. So it was really easy to communicate that.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time, yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Nice job, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. So if it wasn't pizza, what would it be?
Oh, man. I actually think about that a lot. I think it would be something in hospitality where you build community. Like, I think it would be health and wellness. Yeah, I'm sure of it. Health and wellness.
So what, you're talking about earlier, but like, how do you, do your weekly schedule, right? It's like 12 hours a day, walls to wall, or like, how's that work for you?
My schedule?
Yeah.
It's all over the place. So like tomorrow I leave at 5 a.m. to go to Spokane to look at some properties out there. And then I'm coming back. So that's a long day of just driving.
Yeah.
I'm early bird. I like to be up early. And I can go till 11 p.m. at night. I mean, I could just go.
How many hours of sleep do you need a day?
I don't need a lot. I'm kind of like that 5 hours.
Yeah. Man, I'm so jealous of you.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah, I don't need a lot of sleep, but I tend to run myself pretty hard sometimes. So like when we were doing the Tennis Open in Palm Springs,
Mm-hmm.
that was 18 hours every day
Yeah.
for 2 weeks, and that was a hard run. I was hurting after that, but I'm trying to find a little balance in the physical aspect of running hard.
So how do you know? I think sometimes you like just push through with something. You take a break. How do you know? Like, does your body just tell, hey, we're gonna sit down right now, or how it work?
The great thing is when you're boss, you can just stop.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just have to stop for
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what countries are you in right now?
Just here in the States.
Okay.
I'm working on Japan right now, and then Asia. So, and I'm talking to Canada right now. So it could be Canada and Asia.
Is there? You might not know this, but is there a country that does not eat pizza? It's like universal, right?
Everybody eats pizza now.
It
has spread all over. I get people from hitting me up from Africa, from where was it? Oh my God, I can't remember, but it was an odd place. Oh, I can't remember, but yeah, I say it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Because bread is so simple.
Yeah, it is. So when you're not eating pizza, you have a go-to restaurant. It's not pizza in the Seattle area.
Oh man, there's a lot of them. I love Thai Tom in the University District. Non-pasta, non-pizza. Yeah, that's tough. I love it. ID. There's a lot of Chinese restaurants that I love, or Asian restaurants that I love there. I love Food Market. On Kindell.
Uh-huh.
Like I eat there a lot because I go there a lot to shop. But they have a kind of a deli that has a lot of Filipino food. I want to try Family Friend up on Beacon Hill. I have their Filipino. I haven't got to try them yet, but yeah, there's a lot of little spots that I like to go to. So
I hear the term all the time. People say, "I'm a foodie." I mean, what makes someone a foodie? Like, because they like to eat a lot, or like eat the good food. What's a foodie?
I think people call us foodie because they like to just try new things and experiment, and I think that's why they call themselves a foodie. I think everybody's a foodie who enjoys food, but I think a foodie is someone who likes to. At least is my idea of what foodie is. They like to try food, taste it, experiment, and then yell about it. So everybody's a foodie on TikTok, on Instagram. So
what's the craziest thing you've eaten so far in your life?
I'd have to say when I was in Iceland, fermented shark. I eat a lot of things, but that was really tough because they put it in the lava rock while it's hot to ferment. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then you follow it with a shot of like birch liqueur. Yeah, so that was pretty unique and different. So
for my crazy, I had goose intestines in Vietnam last time.
Yeah.
So that actually was crazy, right? Top 5 things I ate in my life.
Oh,
easily, yeah.
Cool. That's cool, yeah. But I've had chicken intestines in the Philippines. So yeah, they're probably similar.
Yeah, talk about this, right? Just my opinion, like it's like when you go to different countries, Vietnam, Asia countries, Europe, the food seems like just tastes so much better, right? So much fresher. Is that just because we have all these processed chemicals over here, or the way you do things?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think there's a lot of chemicals here.
I mean, the difference is unmistakable. Yeah, sure. I can talk to you.
Can we pause for a second?
Yeah, we can. Ready.
Thank you, Bear.
So you're gonna take a break for a minute. Whoops.
Yeah, let's leave that. Okay, give me 1 sec.
All right, no worries. So be back just a minute. Well, I'll take this minute right now. Like I said, I have there's one QR code, the Builders Club. We're doing a Builders Club here at Kevin's HR, 3 levels. One is a free level. You help us build out Kevin's HR, but you do have to sign a letter of intent. Second one is like the Founders Club. It's $99 a month. Same thing. We actually help you do some of your HR stuff for you. And the final one is like the premium level. Like you pay a one-time fee of $497. Have HR for life with Kevin's HR. Then the QR code is for ebooks. I've done like 300 conversations here on the Jason Cavness experience. So out of that, I've done 7 ebooks on that. We'll do a refund of us. I'll provide more information in a minute. Yeah. This is a great talk with Lee. So Lee, I met Lee at the Filipino Founders Group Club organization out of Bellevue a couple months ago. And I just asked him, would you want to be a judge for my Kevin's HR Tech Sales Guy Tech event? And he did it, so it was a great experience. He's done a lot of great things. So also I have on August 29th, I'm doing another live stream with Sarah Klaus, but this time it's gonna be switched. So I'm doing a live stream talking about my refund on August 29th at noon with Sarah Klaus, like the guest host. So she asked me a lot of questions, find out information about the refund I'm doing, Kevin's HR is doing. And then I'm going back to Vietnam on August 31st. And so on September 10th, my friend Marquise Ryan's place, Alibi Bar and Brunch, I'm doing the Kevin's HR refund on launch party on September 10th in Vietnam from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's going to be a great event. Having like some different things going on. I know I got some comments on here saying some people can hear Lee speaking. Had to figure that out because everything I see, it shows he's talking loud and clear. I hear him on the microphones, so I don't know what's going on with that. So I have to figure that out. So here's Lee coming back.
Oh, my coconut water too much. I drink the whole thing. Okay.
No worries. What are we talking about?
We were talking about how the commercial food here in
Yeah,
the States
yeah.
is so full of chemicals and stuff. 100% agree with that. And I see such a big movement of people going more natural with food.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, example I was given, like if you have an apple in the United States, 10 days later, it's freaking bright red. It doesn't happen anywhere else, right?
I've even noticed myself, I'm a huge fruit fan, and I've noticed a difference in the texture of commercial fruit. Like a big difference. It's weird. But yeah, so I'm trying to buy more and more from the farmer's market.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, farmer's market probably a little more expensive, but it has to be a whole lot better.
Yeah. To me, it's worth the price.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, how we do for healthcare is like so broken here, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I were growing foods on our balcony. And I'm loving growing our own food, and I want to see. And I'm seeing a lot of people doing some really interesting things with that, like backyard farming, the pea patches. This movement, the slow food movement.
Yeah.
That's happening. I'm 100% down with it.
What keeps your drive and motivation so high all the time?
This is going to get kind of personal, Jason, how you got into this, but I to be honest, I think it comes from a place where I always wanted to make my dad proud of me. And, now I've kind of, when I was talking about wisdom, now that I understand that, I realize I don't have to have the approval from my dad anymore. Like, it's about me and what I feel. So I sense a change happening in me where I don't have to, it's not this never ending chase anymore. It's like, this is what I want to do. And as I see that in the future, I see myself slowing down because I don't have anything to prove. And I can kind of pursue things that I really appreciate and love without having an end game.
So for your pizza places, is there is there a pattern like one day of the week is like more business, a month's more business, or it's a peaks and valleys, but it's a pretty consistent 24/7, 365?
Very consistent. And I think that comes from us building systems. And that consistency is such a powerful thing, right? Because it shows in your numbers, it shows in your operations, and it makes your employees feel safe because of that consistency, right? They can come to work and there's no drama. We have very little drama. And it's because of this culture that we build of be kind to each other and thoughtful, meaning that what are you going to do during your time at work that is going to not just affect you, but the person that you came after and the person that come before you. So how do you utilize what they did for you? And then how do you do something for the person ahead of you? And having that thoughtfulness and kindness towards each other creates these systems of safe. And when you feel safe, you perform well. And I don't even know where I was going with that, but consistency, that's it. When you have when everything is consistent, it's so much easier. And so every Tuesday, I meet with my whole C-level, CEO, COO operations and stuff like that. Every Tuesday we meet. Monday is kind of a catch-up over the weekend. And then we meet every Tuesday. And then whatever we do on Tuesday, we plan out for the rest of the week and we take care of those things. So we're constantly working toward what needs to be done for the next week and then also what happens in the future.
So how do you handle a dissatisfied customer when that happens?
Kindness, brother. Their perspective, they want to be heard. So just being if you look at reviews, I answer all the reviews. I'm way behind right now, but I have answered hundreds, if not thousands, of reviews. Like all Google, Yelp, all of them, I answer them. There's nobody else but me that answers them.
No, it's not a lead bot.
No, it's not a lead bot. So it takes me time. So I've been really busy lately, so I'm way behind. But I answer everyone, and you'll notice when there's somebody that's not. If somebody's a total asshole, I'll do a smarty, kind of a smart ass answer, but because they're not going to change it. But if somebody's legitimately upset, I'll be like, hey, I understand. I'm so sorry. What can we do that will make you happy? Or come on in. I will hook you up with a free pizza. Or like, what is it going to take to make your experience better? I've had many 1 stars turn into 5 stars from that. Just me, and keep them as a regular customer. So I don't take that lightly when somebody's negative. I like to see if I can turn it around and give them a really good experience.
How much does it matter, or does it even matter if you get a 1 star, 5 star, in like different places? Does it really matter?
I honestly don't give a shit. Like I want to make sure people are happy when they come in and they have a good experience. But if somebody really feels that we're a 1 star place, I'm okay with that. There's very few places that are true 5 stars. And most people, like, I think we're on average about 4.7, 4.6. That's pretty damn good when you look across the country. Yelp rated us, I'm not a big fan of Yelp, but Yelp rated us number 41 in both Canada and the U.S. As far as a pizza place.
And there's probably 1,000 pizza places just in Seattle.
Easily, right? So, like, I'll take it for what it's worth. We're right where we need to be, I think. And if we keep focusing on our customer service and what we do and how we can take care of the people that aren't happy, we'll be all right.
That's a great attitude because, of course, you know who Snoop Dogg is, right? The rapper.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, there's some magazine did like top 200 rappers, and Snoop Dogg's 25, and they're trying to go and like he's only 25. That's bullshit. Snoop Dogg, blah blah blah. And Snoop Dogg like, do you know there's 1,000 rappers just in my block in Compton?
Yeah.
Like, I'm good with 25. And he's like, who am I? Then he started naming some rappers ahead of like, am I better than them? I can't say that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, these 10 dudes behind me, I can't say I'm better than them.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with 25. They're trying to only 25. You should be top 10, right? It's all perspective, right?
Yeah, and yeah, right. But I will just say, Snoop Dogg is definitely one of the goats.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk more like it changed their life, right? I remember growing up, he got accused of murder, was a trial for murder, hardcore gangster rapper. Now he's like the Martha Stewart of Compton now,
Yeah, that's exactly it. But yeah, I love that, and opinions aren't a big deal anymore because everybody's got them.
Yeah. And everyone has something else too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do a lot of stuff like publicity, right? Like podcasts, public speaking. Like how do you, and I can't say yes to everything. So thank you for saying this. But how do you decide what to say yes to? Is do you base on like what's the best ROI for you or connection you have with the person? Like how do you decide that?
Yeah, it actually is the connection. Like I said yes to you because I really like you. I like what you're doing. I like how you're building community. Like I think that's really cool, and I want to be involved in that. So yeah, I do. I don't say yes to everything, but yeah, if we get along, I like you, and we resonate, which we do. I'm hell yes.
What do you got going on the next couple of months?
Oh my God, brother, a lot. So we got California that we're opening up 4 locations in California. We're about ready to. We're getting close to doing our Series A venture capital raise. And yeah, we got a pretty good Rolodex people lined up to do this, which is really cool. We haven't decided how much we're going to raise yet, but I have no worries about that we're going to raise it because there's some pretty good big boys that are lined up to partake in what we're doing. So it's really positive. So we have that going on. Hopefully the drone delivery starts, and I'm hopefully partnering with another robotic company out of Japan. So, yeah, I have a lot going on this year going into the new year.
For fundraising, have you raised like only Seattle, Bay? Like, how did your raise go? Where did all the money come from?
Oh yeah, so we our seed round was around $3 million on total, right? And it was I was telling my CEO who's been involved with money for a long time. I'm like, oh my God, that was so easy. And he's like, Lee, you have no idea how hard that is. And I was like, oh, let's do it again. So, yeah, I've been very fortunate because, attention is the new gold, right? And because we have so much attention and we put out a good product and we have a good team and our numbers are really tight, we're like idea for venture capital. And the idea of me kind of doing this tech play, I think adds a lot of value to what we're building. And because it sounds like we're a little on the crazy side, but we're actually quite conservative. And so I think the way we operate is conservative. So that looks very inviting to venture capital.
Yeah, all the financials are tied in, all the numbers are tied in.
Yeah, yeah.
The metrics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in 4 years, it's pretty rare to have a business that's all every location's profitable, and we're in the we're looking really good. And you don't see that a lot, and I think our future's looking really bright.
Man, this is a great conversation.
Oh, I'm loving it.
So next, you talk about the summit a little bit, but go in more detail about how the business got started, what you focus on now, and like the future vision. I could do a deep dive on all that.
Oh yeah. So our original business, my wife and I, we were both backpackers, and we actually met in a hostel. And as we were dating, I was like, "Hey, why don't you move here to Seattle and let's just start our own business?" And we ended up opening our first hostel, and that hostel was rated in our first year #1 in the United States and #2 in all of North America.
And when you say hostel, you mean those like things like $5 a night, people? Okay.
Yeah. We were actually between 30 and 40 a night.
And that was here in Seattle?
Yeah, and that included your dinner. And the thing that made us really famous was that we would have communal dinners, and I would take people crabbing or fishing or foraging, or we would go to the Pike Place Farmers Market, come back, and we'd make dinners together. And then I brought in an art program and a music program. So we had this really strong cultural thing going on with all the travelers, and that's how we did really well. We ended up opening up 3 locations here in Seattle, one in Ballard, one in Fremont, and one in Belltown. And when COVID hit, we lost everything. But the food portion of it was, I was always like, I'm going to make pizza when I retire. And when COVID hit and we lost everything, I'm like, I'm going to make pizza. It's my retirement. So this is really my retirement plan in action. I thought it was going to be the one place. But then when I decided on expanding, we quickly started to expand. I brought on Figgy and Nora, who's my CEO and COO. And she comes from the pizza industry and growing pizza, helping grow pizza businesses. So we became this really dynamic team. And that's why we were able to grow so quickly. And that's why we're going to be at 11 locations by the end of this year. But I think that's actually going to be compounding next year. So now we kind of know how to scale. We're going to be able to do it a little more and a little faster.
So why are you the CEO?
So, I always say if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room. And, I like bringing on people who are smarter than me and sharper than me. I'm not a big title person. And, I think Figgy is the best man for the job on what we're doing here because of his experience, both with numbers, Excel, running a business, a lot of these things. We're very collaborative on everything. I'm the majority owner of everything. I say, yeah, I have the final say, but I don't, because we do it all together. We make decisions together. And, if the majority says no, I'm like, okay, why is this? And then we talk through it. And 100% of the time, I don't think it's ever been where it was my final decision, but we have always collaborated and came up with answers together in the direction of MOTO. So this is no longer just my story; it's our story.
So let's suppose someone goes to one of your stores the very first time, right? They open the door or enter the door. Talk about their experience they're gonna have at your pizza place.
Yeah. So I know this because I've heard it many times. Often it is because we don't advertise, right? So you often find out about MOTO through somebody telling you, "Oh my God, I tried this pizza place. You got to go try it," or through social media. And so when they come in, they've already got this impression of, okay, there's this pizza place. Let's see what they got, right? So it's almost like when they walk in and it's a challenge because they're like, it can't be that good, or they're excited to have us, right? And then when they walk in, all this color hits you. Everyone in the shop, a lot of color hits you, and I love that because that experience of coming in almost brings a whimsical nature of the childhood-like element that's within you, kind of brings out that playfulness. And then you get my pizzas, and you get this wonderful packaging in a box. You open it up, and then you see like "You are pure magic," it says in the box, and a couple other sayings. But then everybody Instagrams it in the box. Like my boxes are the most photographed things in the business. You know, through the stadiums, I'm like literally, you can look it up online and just look at Moto, and you're gonna see all these tags with pictures of my pizza in the box. And that's really an interesting experience from my perspective of seeing so many people do that. So yeah, then of course you taste the pizza, and you're either gonna absolutely love it, or you're gonna be like, yeah, it's mid, it's okay. You know, like I'm not gonna please everybody, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting experience when you go through, because I have so many unique flavors and come at it from, you know, this kind of Filipino perspective with food.
So Moto Pizza, does the name represent anything? Just some random name you picked up? Or how talk
No,
about
I
that?
actually worked on that name for a long time. So because I was raised in Japan, you know, Moto kind of loosely translates to um, like an original idea, or the spiritual mind, body, soul connection to originality, right? So that's kind of a loose translation. And a lot of people think Moto from Detroit, but I thought that was a really cool coincidence. And then yeah, I love the symmetry of the letters too. And if you look at my hat right here, the M is a triangle, like a triangle slice. My square of the square pizza, and then a circle of the New York style pizza, which are also the building blocks of the universe, sacred geometry.
Oh wow, you're right.
Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So
I didn't make the connection to right now.
I'm a huge fan of Da Vinci, his artistry, and what he does with, you know, science and art, you know, technology and creativity. So that's why I'm a big fan of his. So you know, there's a lot of connections to this that I really love about Moto.
So how can someone, I might say this wrong, but how can a simple pizza man like you make the world a better place?
Oh, that's really simple. Is to inspire others to their highest potential. And, you know, when are you mostly inspired? It is when you feel good, right? So if you can make people feel good and have a good experience, you know, whether it's going to a music concert or being with your best friends, that emotional experience raises you to a higher level of who you are. And so through the experiences of Moto, if I can have a little bit of that, you know, that's how I make the world a better place.
So what time do you usually wake up in the morning?
I'm usually up at 5, and I can, some, you know, because I'm so creative, like I love Pinterest, and I love, I have a lot of stuff on my Pinterest board. I do almost like, it's almost meditative how I look through creative. I kind of like I like to start my mind off in a creative sense. So I like to get up slowly and.
So it's not 5 a.m. Dun dun dun. Lee Kendall's gonna take that day over. Dun dun dun.
There are moments like that where I'm just up and dressed, you know, like pop, and I'm in my apron that everybody sees, right? Like my wife calls it my safety. But yeah, there are times where I pop up like that. I prefer like easing into the morning and then starting the day and just picking up momentum, going. You know, that's what I prefer, but it changes a lot.
So talk about the importance of person's spouse being supportive of what they're doing, right? Because a lot of people don't have the luxury of their spouse being 100% behind them, unfortunately.
Well, I've been so lucky that my wife Nancy, you know, when we opened the hostels, we did as business partners. So we've literally been attached at the hip for, you know, over 20 years, and we did business together. You know, she was what I call the brains of the operation, and I just, you know, I did a lot of everything else. And she never wanted to do food, but when COVID hit and we had to close the hostels, she had no choice. So she jumped in, not wanting to do food, helped me, you know, for the first 2-3 years. And that was a difficult thing for her. So she just, when I got, you know, we got my CEO, Figgy, and Nora, when we got our team together, she slowly eased out of it because, and now she's free, but now she's like, okay, now what do I do? So I feel very privileged that I can, you know, provide her the opportunity to kind of figure out what she wants to do next. So she has a little breathing room to figure that out. And, you know, Moto's doing really well, so we're able to do that. So there's not a rush or pressure, but that's an easy price for me to pay for what she sacrificed, you know, for almost 4 years.
And how many years did y'all do the hostel thing?
We started in 2007. So we were done in 2022. So how long is that?
15 years, yeah.
Yeah, 15, 16 years.
And so what was the locations? Down in Seattle somewhere?
Yeah,
or
so Belltown
okay.
on 2nd Avenue, right next to Buckley's. Beautiful building. And then in Fremont, right on Fremont Avenue North, where the Dubliner bar used to be. If you might have, we were above that.
Okay.
And then on Shilshaw Avenue. Was
Oh, so yeah, three of them. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did these people find you? Right? There's some kind of hotline that people go to, and
yeah, they find us from review places. So there's a lot of the travel platforms you can find us on, but there was one in particular that was used worldwide called hostels.com, and that Hostel World, that's what it was. And we were highly rated in that. So a lot of them found us that way. We didn't advertise. A lot of people don't know that we even existed.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was just like in Europe. I didn't know there were hostels over here.
We would get 60,000 kids a year through our place. Yeah.
So how did you make money, right? Because I think a hostel, I think it's someone paying $1 a night, like real cheap accommodations. Like how?
No, we did as well as hotels, if not better, because we had rooms. So in a hostel, you wouldn't rent your room for the night. You rent the bed. So some of our rooms had 8 beds in them at $30 to $40 a night, depending on the room, right? If the bathroom was in it or not in it. So you would actually stay in a room with total stranger. And that was the hostel social aspect of traveling cheaply. And we barely had drama. Like literally.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. How do you deal with like any safety concerns, anything like that? Because people are bad sometimes.
So I will tell you, like I said, I've studied martial arts my whole life, and I'm the sweetest guy you'll ever meet. But I'm also kind of a badass, and I've only had to get physical one time with one kid who wasn't even one of our customers. They actually came from the bar next door, and that's the only time I ever had to get physical out of literally thousands and thousands of young people traveling through.
So this is my hard question for your answer, because after that you met so many interesting people. But you can just talk about maybe 2 or 3 like interesting people you met during the hostel experience.
Oh yeah, there's been so many. One of my favorites was she's Irish and she's a nurse and she travels the world. We call her Irish. Hey Irish, because I know she's gonna listen to this. And she came and stayed with us one year. And she began to stay with us every year wherever she went. So she would travel the world, but we always were a stop that she would stop on and see. And she was very quiet and sweet, but she is one of the most traveled person. I think she's been to over 100 countries or something like that. She's traveled, very well traveled. So she was so interesting because she had so many stories, and she was so sweet. You wouldn't think that she's been to these crazy countries, right? Then there was a kid from, I think he was from Turkey, but he was a immigrant that got into Turkey from a country that he escaped from. I can't remember, but he was in jail for a really long time, and he was only in his maybe 19, and he came here to the States, and he gifted us this beautiful bowl. You know how you do origami? You can fold a little bird out of the origami. He made something like that with all these little birds connected together to make a bowl, but nothing was glued. And the story, his life story, was just it brought me to tears and inspired me at the same time because he went through so much death of his family, and then the experience of being in jail and then escaping this country to Turkey and then get to the States. Was something else, man. I can't, just how he traveled from one place to another, and then how, he got on a boat, on his own and stowed away, and it was just a crazy story. So he was one of them that I'll never forget. And then, I think those 2 that really stood out.
So how does it work as far it's like someone, let's say John Bob, sent you an email, I want to start a hospital. Any kind of background check or anything like that? Or just all comers or?
Oh, no. We had so many what were called walk-ins that, were travel that would randomly just walk in.
Okay.
That's the...
kind of like an honor system then?
Yeah. So they would come in and be like, they'd have their passport. And of course, we had, over the years, we learned how to really won you over. We're like, ask the right questions. Oh, where are you coming in from? Being real nice. And then if something was fishy, we knew. We got really good at it. Yeah. We were pretty good at sorting through everybody who came through.
Nice. I'm guessing you miss it though, don't you?
Oh, dude! It was. I called it the fountain of youth.
Yeah.
Because
I know. Kept you young. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Because and that's another thing too. What was really interesting. all these young kids traveling, I got a really interesting perspective of the entire globe.
Mm.
And, you know, there's a lot of fear out there. And listening to these kids traveling stuff, that fear is so overrated and so pushed out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy, you know, and these kids are so optimistic and love America and love being here. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame hanging out with the travelers.
Yeah, when you travel, just there's a different perspective. Like, I haven't been in a country where like, man, this country sucks. These people suck, right? Every country I go to, like, these people are just wonderful people. Just
Yeah, I would hit you up as a backpacker right out.
Yeah. I would love to do that shit. Yeah. So when you think you're gonna raise your 8 round? Any time frame or just like playing by ear?
No. So what we're waiting on is, you know, we have this really interesting deal with a guy we opened up with the locations in San Diego. He's doing something kind of really unique. I'll go into it too deeply, but he wants to open up like 500 locations, and we're a big part of that, right? So that deal we're working on that deal right now, and then the multi-stadium deal is coming up in the next month or two. So we kind of want to dial everything in, get San Diego operating, get the new locations, the drive-through. And when you get these numbers operating and you can show a trajectory of where you're going, that's going to make our valuation look really good. The tech aspect of what I'm building out is a big portion of that. And, you know, technology and me kind of building a path of where we're going to go with that is part of that story, right? And if you can tell the right story and then you can show the backup through trajectory of where you're going with that, VC really love what you do. And I think that's that. So I'm not putting it off. I'm just kind of dialing this in even more than where we're at right now. And I think our valuation will look really good.
So obviously VC money comes with a cost, right?
Oh yeah.
The cap center. But how do you make you have a balance between like getting enough money but not getting enough too much of your company away?
So number one is I'm not greedy. Like I don't need to be one of those rich billionaire kind of guys. You know, I still drive a 2012 van that I absolutely love. You know, I'm not frivolous with my money. You know, I don't need a lot, so I'm okay giving it up. What I do though, in a very concentrated way, is I make sure that everybody that I'm talking to, that I'm potentially taking money from, that we're aligned, like that they speak the language that we speak. You know, mutual respect, thoughtfulness, kindness. Like they need to align with us in the way that we think, in business and in life personally. And I've turned down some big money because the guy was kind of an asshole, you know, like, and I'm okay with that. So every single person that's partaking in MOTO, they're strategic on the business side, but also they're really cool people who are enthusiastic and excited about what we're doing. And when they come on board, they just help perpetuate this idea that MOTO is really special because we're doing it in a different way and building a culture that thinks differently.
What amount of money would it take to buy you out?
It would have to be a big check. It would have to be really big. I really believe MOTO has, you know, one of the guys that I talked to that is from Wall Street, he's like, I could see you guys doing an IPO in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And so, like, we could be pretty big. So, yeah, I don't think I would take a check yet. I think I would say no to anybody who was like, hey, I'll buy you. I don't think I would take that. Well, everybody has a price, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say, hey, if you're out there and you want to throw one at me, let me know. But no, I'm excited about what we're doing, and I think we're going to do something really special. And I think we're going to take the country by storm when word gets out what we're doing.
How long do your employees usually stay with you?
Oh, I have my original employee. My number one employee, he moved to the beach for peace of mind because the city was just too much. And I love that he chose peace and happiness over, you know, growing a business. And he's so happy out there. We still talk, and, you know, he's building a house out there on the water, which is really cool. My number two guy, Adam, is still with us, and he's managing the original restaurant.
Nice. So I thought with drones, I haven't had the work for, but can you be able to deliver anywhere in the United States? Well, or was there like a limit on the drones?
No, I think eventually it's going to be there because I really believe it's going to be a successful rollout. Right now, it's limited because, you know, safety is the number one factor, right? They want to roll this out in a very safe way. So what's happening in Texas right now, where the initial alpha test is, I guess they call it, we're the beta test, which is going to be here on the West Coast next year. The alpha test is going really well. They've had very few, if any, like what do they call their word? A fancy word they use when it crashes.
Yeah, I don't talk about
yeah, but I remember the word. I cracked up because I'm like, just use the word crash, okay? Without anybody being hurt. So they've had 0 people being hurt. So that's really good. And I think they're cautiously rolling it out slowly. But I think it's going to sweep the nation. Drones are getting quieter. They're getting faster, and they're able to carry heavier payloads.
And the public are getting used to them more and more.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, totally. You know what's funny? I seen where other people, there was a post, and it's like, oh yeah, if it's too loud, just shoot it down. There's laws being made by that. It's illegal to shoot down.
Yeah, because they're covered by the FAA, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Illegal to shoot them down. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really powerful tool coming up. But I think robotic delivery also on the ground. I met with a guy on a panel not too long ago that's actually drilling underneath for delivery. So he's building these small tunnels that can carry packages all over the city through these drills that can, like Elon Musk board, but on a small scale. And you don't need to come up. You can guide the drill to go from business to business to resident to business. Like, that's the idea, but he's just starting that out, which is really cool.
How does this work? Like, suppose someone orders a pizza, the drone delivers it, and drone delivers their own pizza.
I think it would be like any other delivery. You go through the fixing it process.
So basically, the drone go back and get the pizza back.
Yeah. Something like it would be the same thing. Yeah, we haven't got that far yet. Now we're just working on getting it from point A to point B. But I think we're going to have a lot of things in place that minimize those mistakes.
How much does a drone cost? Like, pretty inexpensive, pretty expensive?
Yeah, we're not buying the drone. It's a system that's going to be in place. Think about like Uber, right?
Okay.
When you go on your phone and you call an Uber, you get the nearest one closest to you, right? So Zipline is going to create a hub where me as a restaurant will use the closest drone to me and pick it up, and then it'll go back to the hub. So it'll be centralized. Then that way, as it expands to other restaurants and businesses, that hub can be utilized for all of those businesses.
Okay.
They'll rotate out, right?
My brain is going crazy. All the tech stuff involved, all algorithms and this and that, does your restaurant have precedence of another restaurant,
Yeah, the logistics are crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is it's going to be very similar to how Uber operates, right?
Okay.
For efficiencies.
Okay. So how does your company succeed?
I think we succeed by being profitable, being consistent, and delivering an exceptional product. And I think it's that simple, And if we can continue what we're doing, we're a $1 billion company. I mean, I really believe that if we can just keep that. There's been a lot of companies that have put out a lesser product that grew really big and flopped. Right. So if we can just keep focused and keep continuing doing what we're doing, I feel we're going to be very successful.
So what happens for y'all to fail?
I think we'd have to lose sight of, the basics of what we're doing, like the calculated effort to be the culture of the company and the systems that we put in the process. Those two things are our DNA, are our foundation of who we are. So as long as we focus on those two things and keep it simple, there's no stopping.
So it's not a lot of people that say, I have all kinds of great culture. They really don't. Right? How did you go about actually building a great culture at your company?
It starts with me. And then the person next to me says, it starts with me. And the person next to them says, it starts with me. That's how you build great culture. It has to be ingrained in what we do and how we take care of each other. And it's that thoughtfulness of the collective, I think, that will get us there. And I feel really confident we're building that well. And it's been this kind of like broken thing because, we're growing so fast. But I think we have the bones to really even make it better. And through our communication and the things that we're building right now, like our training processes and how we communicate to each other, all those things are coming together where it's actually making us stronger. Like we have a newsletter called Odd Times that comes out, I think it's a week now, for all the staff to see. So everything that we're doing on our level, they know. So there's no surprises coming. So we're like, hey, we're doing this. Here's the possibility this happened. and they're able to contact us. So there's a very open line of communication both ways. I think that's really important. And these are the things we build on.
So back to social media. So your social media, are you just like kind of winging it every day, or do you actually have like some kind of content plan? Like on Monday, I'm talking about this. Tuesday, talk about. Or is it more like I'm Lee, and we're gonna fucking do it. We're doing this today.
Right now, that's exactly what it is. It's me with my phone, and I'm like, I take little bits along the day. Like, I can't remember who it was, but they said, don't try to produce, document.
Yeah,
just document what you do.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said that. It might have been Gary Vee, actually.
Yeah.
But so I document, and then I try to piece it together. And yeah, I'm really winging it right now, and I know soon I'm gonna need like some kind of social media manager or something like that, because it's getting where it's harder and harder for me as we grow. But I'm loving it right now. I'm the only one that answers it. I'm the only one that puts out. I love that communication to our customers and the people out there in Moto world. I call them Moto heads. And then our team is called the Odd Squad.
Yeah.
So I love that connection, that I'm very easily reached. A lot of customers say, "Oh, I had this experience." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome," or "Oh, I had a negative experience." I'm like, "How can I fix that for you?" And I love that connectivity. So I don't know. That's gonna be a hard one for me to let go of.
Yeah. Have you done anything like maybe the TikTok store? You saw how the pizza being made or anything like that, the robots operate, or is this mainly just you?
Wait, say that again?
Like, have you done anything with the TikTok store or Instagram store where you saw the pizzas being made from scratch?
Oh no, I just learned that there's a TikTok store.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know there was. So I wanna start selling some of the stuff we have online. I think it would be really cool, and then I can tell a story with that.
Yes,
which will be really cool.
Do you have any mentors?
I have a few. Yeah, and one of them was one of my investors from back in the day of hostels. So when I started my first hostel, I wanted to buy the property from a guy who I rented it from. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to sell." And he goes, "You might have to move out in a couple of years if I do sell it." And I was like, "Okay, we need a place where we can be permanent for a long time." And I'm like, "I need to buy my own place." And of course, I couldn't afford anything in Seattle. So I met a broker of mine, who's a friend of mine today, and he was like, "I'll help you find a building, and maybe I might be able to help you find somebody that can help you buy it." And he introduced me to a couple of guys who I adore today, and they're kind of mentors to me too. That helped me put together a syndication. Well, they put together a syndication on purchasing the building. They became my business partners, and to this day I still talk to them.
And who are you mentoring? Are you mentoring anyone?
Oh, I tried. Like, there's a lot of young people that reach out to me. I wouldn't say I'm mentoring them, but they hit me up often with questions and stuff like that. So maybe that is a form of mentoring, but it's very informal. But I happily answer anybody. I get emails all the time because my email's out there. You can easily email me. You can hit up on Instagram. I'm always happy to tell people how to start a business. That's the number one question I get asked all the time is, "How do I start a business?" And I'm like, "You just fucking jump." Just jump.
Just start it, right? Yeah. So, Lee, is there anything I should ask you that I haven't asked yet, or anything I talk about?
Yeah, you're gonna like this one. I've been working on how do I get my pizza into the International Space Station.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
So I met a guy at one of the last events that I went to that is actually helping me do it.
I saw that post. Yeah.
We've been talking, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, has this become a real thing?" So yeah, that would be a dream come true if I get it up there, which I'm beginning to feel confident it just might happen.
So you think like an innovative rocket going up there in space, or like?
I don't know. Like, he's got a few connections. Like, he's connected to Blue Origin. But like, for example, I just got the technical parameters how they cook in the oven that's in the space station. So like, it's this slow kind of logistical understanding of how it all works up there, which is fascinating to me, by the way. There's been some advancements, but not a lot. Before it was the squeezy tube.
Yeah.
Now they're actually able to get some real food up there. So yeah, we're kind of working through that right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who I'm with, so I won't. But I really believe it's a possibility coming up, maybe even next year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so one thing we talked about is me finding sponsors. So like, hey, if anybody of you out there know, hit me up. But I think I can find sponsorship pretty good. Pretty easily through my connections. Yeah, when he started talking about sponsorship to get it paid for, I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me sell it because I can sell." So I think I can make it happen.
So what's a like a prediction of you for the future, Nick? Like something they just be crazy. Like my future prediction is like sooner or later we're gonna have like space hotels everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's good. That's a good one.
I have that one, and then my other predictions. Like way back in the day, it would take like 6 months to go from England to New York City. Now it's 6 hours.
Yeah.
I think now it takes like I don't know. I'm just up like 18 months to go from here to Mars. I think we're gonna hours. So take like 18 days.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna say this, but I don't know if the world is ready to hear it yet. I believe here's my tech prediction. I believe that we are eventually going to be able to communicate telepathically.
I've heard that before.
I think that's going to happen. I think technology is going to be able to enhance it.
But the problem with that is it going to be like your very first thought? Because a lot of times people hear your very first thoughts.
It's going to be a cluster, but but I think it's going to happen. How we control it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Think about how hard it is for us to control our mouths already. Right?
Yeah.
Think about our thoughts.
Our thoughts. Oh man, it's gonna be a lot of divorces, a lot of bad things going on. Like,
but I think it's gonna be a really authentic way to communicate and honest. So it will definitely be an evolution of human communication. But that's
I've heard that one. I've heard communicate with animals.
Yeah. I think it's very possible. But what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like plants communicate with each other some kind of way. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah, and sound technology.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they're talking about, how they moved the pyramids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That thing with sound technology.
Yeah.
And I've been watching, the medical world, how they're using frequency to fight cancer and cell structure. That's really interesting. So I think sound technology is going to be really unique coming up.
And my thing is like, what's out there we can see, but we can't see? Like remember the Northern Lights came down this far?
Oh yeah.
And like you really can't see it, but you can. Like what's out there? Like we that's here, because our eyelids or whatever frequency you can't hear or see.
I love that. The longer we're together, I'm like, oh yeah, we think a lot alike.
I mean, this is a lot of craziness out there, right?
Absolutely. I think we're, I think we're in such our infancy, as human beings in our collective and our understanding of each other. I think we're just like kindergartners, right?
Yeah.
In this game of, of species.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot for us to learn. And we got a long ways to go, but I'm really excited about where we're going.
Some people say we've been around for 6,000 years. No, people like we've been around millions of years. Regardless, it's just a snapshot in time versus the billions of years the universe has been around.
Absolutely. And I really hope we get visited by the aliens because
I don't know. I have to disagree with you on that one. I have to disagree on that one. Because my fear was the aliens come. Because remember back in the 1600s, the Spaniards went to the Incas.
Oh yeah.
And wipe them out,
Yeah, it was a mess.
That'd be my fear. Like these aliens will come and like, yeah, you are human slaves now, right? Or yeah.
This goes back to my philosophy is that, evolution is all about efficiency. Like the universal code of evolution is efficiency. So as things evolve, they have to become more efficient. And I believe that harmony and love is a form of efficiency. Because love is harmony and harmony is efficiency. So I like to think that any aliens that are able to get here before we get there are much more advanced than us, so they're more evolved, which to me says they should be more loving and more harmonious.
I don't know if I want to trust that.
My wife always says that I look through the universe through rose-colored glasses, and that might be my fault.
Yeah, I have another theory too. Like I think this is how aliens take us over, right? I think you send one alien, right? Of course, he has some kind of power, right? Whatever his power would be, like read our minds or whatever. He does something, right? And he says, "I'm God. I'm the God of Abraham. The God of all these gods." And oh shit, half of us would bow down and worship. And other like
probably more than half.
Yeah, but the others were like, I don't know, I don't know.
Never know. That's why I like to keep an optimistic view.
You ever watch any of the Star Trek movies?
Oh, I love
Remember the one Star Trek movies, like the older ones? It was
the original.
So it had
Star Trek New Generation.
It was a movie. It had James T. Kirk, Spock, the original crew, and God said, "I need a spaceship." Right? They'll follow around. And finally, Kirk said, "Like, what does God need with a spaceship?"
Yeah.
And I know if he wasn't running God, he just read history and stuff, right?
Yep. It was what's his name? The guy that killed God. What's his name?
I can't remember his name.
Anyways, I like the interaction between the two of them.
Yeah, Kirk is like, what does God do with? It's like maybe like 45 minutes around, and God, God did something like, wait,
Yeah.
what are we going here right now?
I love that we're really geeking out right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely geek out for a lot. Yeah. Here's one for you. First pizza served to aliens.
Oh man, I think the cheese is the way to go. Yeah, cheese, simple cheese pizza. Every pizza that I get when I test it is a cheese pizza
Yeah.
because it's like the foundation of all pizzas, right? So I always go for a cheese pizza.
So besides your own pizza, what's the best pizza you've had?
God rest his soul, Dom DeMarco, Farras in Brooklyn, New York, under the bridge.
Okay.
Still can taste that, and that man, he was one of those guys that made a pizza really slow, but he did it with such love and intention. Yeah, there's a lot of people that say there's other pizzas better than his, but I don't know, man. Like, the family took over it. I like to think it's just as good as pizza because they took over that intention. But yeah, he's one of the best, if not the best. I had Franco Pepe's pizza out of Papigrana. He's the one in Italy. His was pretty damn good, but I'm gonna have to give it to Dom DeMarco. And I eat more New York pizza than most New Yorkers, but DeFara, that's my jam.
This is my favorite piece of pizza. So I was in the army chasing in Vicenza, Italy, and our neighbors, hey, y'all have to go try this pizza place in the town called Gazzo, Italy, like an hour away. He said, man, you're gonna go there. You're not gonna want to eat there, but trust me, just eat there, right? So okay, we're not doing this idea. You have to. We'll go. Family ride, whatever. Takes an hour to get there. It's July. It's like really hot in Italy, right? It's an hour ride. The line is another hour long, right? That's a good sign, right? We get inside. It's so hot. Like we're just soaked. We're soaked, right?
Yeah.
There's no AC, and there's flies everywhere, right?
Oh,
Flies everywhere, right? And Mario said, man, what are we doing here? This got to try, right? I swear to God, if I was rich, I would fly there once a month to eat that pizza.
It was that good.
It was that good.
Wow.
I can switch. Yeah, it was so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was so good. Yeah. I'm thinking, man, if you just had some AC, I mean, they couldn't handle any more customers, like, small Italian pizza shop with a stove, whatever. Man, it was so good. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, in Italy, I went to the De Michele, which is considered the oldest pizza in the world, and then the best one in the world, and then Rome. I really love Roman pizza. I was really impressed with Roman pizza. Banci's, to be specific. That high hydration pizza was beautiful, and he only would use 3 ingredients on each pizza, never more. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah. I know you would do this, but we're interested if we did like a worst pizza, like between.
Like I said earlier, I love Totino's frozen. I love 7-Eleven pizza. I love, truck stop pizza. Like, I have there is another pizza that I don't like. I really love pizza, like, everywhere, because I grew up on real crappy pizza. So, and I loved it. So, everything is good to me now.
Nice. So what do you do with your spare time, if you have spare time?
I definitely try to be creative. I try to involve myself in either art, film, or any kind of creative genre like that. I've been toying around with sculpture. I love scouring the internet for, creative inspiration of what people are doing out there that are really unique.
So what makes someone a creative?
What's that?
What makes someone a creative?
I think anybody who tries to express themselves in their truest form, I think it's creative. So whether that's music, mathematics, business, fashion, whatever it is, I think if they just try to express themselves through that, I call that creative.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
That's a weird word. I had this running joke with my brother. So he came out of high school and started in construction. He's now a superintendent after 30 plus years, and he's retired in 2 years. And I said, I'm going to retire with you. And they're like, what are we going to do? And he goes, I'm going to open up a machine shop. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to keep working too. So retirement's kind of a joke to us because I want to just keep moving and be creative. So yeah, I don't think retirement's in the cards for me.
Have you heard this term? You're going to work until you're 10 toes up.
No, but I love that.
You know what 10 toes up is, right?
Oh yeah, you're laying down.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're done. Yeah, you're done. Yeah, I can see myself doing that because I'm so happy when I'm working, and it's not working out of the need to create a paycheck. It's working out of the excitement of being productive and creative.
Yeah, I think there's too many examples of when people stop working or stop doing something. Maybe not stop working, but when they stop everything, they're dead within 2 years. There's too many stats out there like that.
Yeah,
You have to do something.
I agree 100. Even if it's whatever it is, my mother, she's 85, and she loves gardening, and she was digging up a tree stump last summer. She just goes, and gardening keeps her going. She loves it. Does it maybe 5 hours a day. It's a lot for someone her age. So yeah, I think you got to go to keep going.
Let's talk about this. I think we'll be the same attitude. I remember in the 20s, like, man, when I get to my 40s or 50s and 60s, that's old as fuck. Like, I'm older, decrepit. I'm 57. I don't think I've ever had so much focus in my life, right? I have so much drive, so much focus. Are you like the same way, like getting more drive and focus?
100%. My wife asked me, "Would you go back to being 20 years old?" I'm like, hell no. I'm having way more fun.
I mean, I might want a body of 27.
Yeah, I'm a little slower, but I'm having so much fun. I'm having such an experience that is like unbelievable. And yeah, I would not go back. No way. I love where I'm at. Love what I'm doing. I love who I'm becoming, and I love that I can inspire others to become their best. And I just I don't think there's a higher calling than being of service to us. And so I have purpose, which is really important.
So how you deal with this, right? So I'm assuming you have high standards yourself or other people. How you deal with what you do when people meet your standards, so to speak?
Yeah. Again, that's where I believe you have to have grace, because it's not my job to raise their standards. It's not my job to make them better. It's their job to do that, right? So I try to be as conscious and thoughtful and give as much grace as possible and not judge, because there were times where I didn't even meet what my levels of where I believe I need to be. I think in that same way, when I was young, people had grace for me and compassion and understanding of where I was in a confused time. So I tried to do that to others, and just try to inspire the best I can.
Have you ever met a person that you don't like?
Yes, of course.
That's kind of hard to believe, there, Lee.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, no, there has been. They're essentially people who are not willing to look at anybody else's perspective. They're not willing to try anything new or look or think in a new way. So that I just be like, hey, cool, good to meet you, and then that's it. It's over.
Yeah. So are you positive 100% of the time?
Yeah, I try to be. I really try to be, because I think the idea of being positive opens so many doors of experience possibilities. I think when you're negative, you're closing doors. And so I try to keep as many doors open as possible.
Talking about geeking out, Elon Musk comes and says, hey, Lee, I will see for you on the trip to Mars. Going?
Oh, man. I don't know if I'm willing to give that kind of time away from my people. Like, I love my friends and my family too much to go on such an amazing adventure, and I know it would be, but the probability of death is very high.
Especially in the first one, yeah.
Yeah. Once they get it to where we can teleport there, I'm all in. But
some kind of wormhole or something.
Exactly.
Some kind of Star Trek technology. Beam me up, Lee.
I'm not down for the long haul like that and be for my people.
Yeah. So I ask you again, anything else you want to talk about, or anything else I need to ask you?
No, I want to thank you first off for this wonderful experience, and that I hope that people take something positive away from it, and that it really the idea of try as much as you can to be kind to yourself is really my message to anybody out there. If they get anything from this, it's to remember to be kind to yourself.
Can you give us your social media or ways people can reach out to you?
Yeah, MOTO Pizza Shop on Instagram, and then MOTO Pizza on TikTok. Yeah, you can reach me that way, or you can reach me through the email that's on the website.
Lee, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Oh my God, Jason, thank you. You're amazing. I really appreciate it.